Hey everyone! Hope everybody's doing well. Everybody is doing well. My God. Happy Tuesday. This is Kimberly live from Envision Destinations, my destination wedding brand. I am a wedding planner with Envision Weddings. I started a destination wedding brand a few years back, but now we're just starting to amp things up a little bit, taking this brand global, just because been doing destination weddings since 2014. After one of my colleagues and clients decided to do a wedding. They hired us and they decided to do a wedding not in Toronto, where I'm from. So just by fluke, we started doing destination weddings, and then we haven't stopped since. So what we're doing here now is that we're interviewing some vendors from all around the world, people that we know and we've worked with and we love. And the reason why we're doing this is because that we know that when you're planning a destination wedding, it's always a little unnerving not meeting the people and not seeing them face to face really before you hire them. So this is kind of my gift to the world to showcase the people that we love. Excuse me. So if you're planning a wedding in specific areas, then this is kind of an opportunity to see what kind of talent is out there. So today, my guest is very special to me, just because that she is hailing from the location where I got married. And today is actually the day before my anniversary. So we got married, my husband and I got married in Whistler, British Columbia, about 8 years ago. Not about, actually 8 years ago. This time 8 years ago, I'm pretty sure I was at the spa or something, getting ready for my wedding. So Kerry is a hair and makeup artist from Whistler, and she's going to be coming in on this live very shortly. And we're going to talk about Whistler weddings, because it kind of makes me reminisce about my wedding as well. So I'm going to bring her in right now. Waiting. Hi.
Hi, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm doing good. Oh my God, look at the
I thought
view.
I would set up in the park.
Okay, guys, I have to tell you, this is not a Zoom background. Like, this is
This
not,
is real.
this is actually real. And when you said that you were in the park, I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be such a treat.
Yeah, I know. I
Where
thought it would be perfect.
anywhere in Whistler is pretty beautiful, like in my
Yeah.
opinion. So as soon as you said you were outside, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
because
I wasn't sure how the connection would be or if it would be too loud, but there's no one around right now, so I'm just enjoying this incredible day.
yeah, right. I mean, it looks gorgeous over there. I am
Yeah, this
so
is not
jealous.
typical for Whistler right now.
No, it's not. It's not.
No, we usually have snow on the ground still.
When I got married, I remember, because we're used to Toronto weather, right? Like
Yeah.
right now it is pretty nice outside, but like you can't tell because I'm
Yeah.
inside. I'm not outside like you are, and if
Yeah.
I was, my background would be like a road. Um, but I remember when we got married, we got a message from the Four Seasons, and they were like, "So it was like it was like the end of April." They were like, "So there's still like 4 feet of snow on the ground.
Yeah.
Don't panic." And remember, we were
Don't panic.
should we panic? And they're just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It should be fine. Like, it should all be pretty much melted by the time you come. And it was, but
Was it?
it
Okay.
was like barely. Like, there was still like a little bit on the ground. And
Yeah.
but I didn't get married up in the mountains. I got married
No.
like on the ground, I guess you could say.
Was it at Four Seasons?
It wasn't at Four Seasons. It was at Nicholas North.
Oh,
So
okay. Beautiful.
yeah, and then it right in front of their lake. So it was like with the mountains in the background, but thank goodness, because they were just like, if you were,
Just so you know.
yeah, like if you were up there, that's a little different.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, which is so funny because, yeah, you can get married in the middle of summer here and still find patches of snow somewhere. And so, yeah.
you could go all the way up to the mountain to snowboard in the summertime, and you wouldn't
Yeah,
even know that it was summer.
exactly. Yeah. So you get
Like,
everything here in Whistler.
so tell me a little bit about, I know we're just,
Yeah,
anyway,
we just jumped
a
right
little
into it.
about you, because other people don't know. I know.
Yes.
I don't,
Yeah.
I think you should let other people know
Yeah.
about what you do.
So my name is Kerry Waring, and I am a hair and makeup artist in Whistler, British Columbia. So specializing in bridal, but we get everything up here. Lots of conferences, lots of bachorette parties, lots of people just coming up and wanting, their hair and makeup done, but
Right,
mostly bridal.
right. That's awesome. And like, are
Yeah.
most of your clientele from around there, or like from Vancouver? Because it's not a far drive.
No, it's not far. So Whistler is only about 2 hours, 2.5 hours from Vancouver.
Right,
I would say maybe 50% of my weddings are people from Vancouver, and then everyone is all destination coming
right,
here for the first time, or Whistler has some sort of sentimental value to them. So
right.
they decide to get married here.
Yeah, that was like us.
Was it? Yeah.
Because we came for the Olympics, and we went up to Whistler for like, I think a snowboarding competition. I don't know,
Yeah.
some kind of
Some
competition,
event.
some event, and then we weren't even engaged. Like, we were thinking about it, and we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, people do weddings here. Also because I'm a wedding planner, so I'm always thinking
Yeah.
about, like, I wonder if people do weddings here. Of course they
Yeah.
do. Silly. Um, and then we just decided to get married there because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's funny because so many Ontarians that I don't know if you know this, but so I don't know, where are you originally from? Are you from
Vancouver.
You're from Vancouver, okay?
Yeah.
Because I know that there's so many Ontarians that moved
Yes.
from here over there.
Yes.
Right. So I have no qualms about that because
I know.
I have such a like special place in my heart for Vancouver and Whistler, but
Yeah.
it's just like a different world. Like,
It is.
yeah,
Like I'm outside of my apartment right now, and I'm like, it looks like I'm in the forest. We're just like right in nature, and
yeah,
it's incredible. You have basically everything you need here. Like, it's still like a small mountain town. So,
right,
we don't have a Walmart. We don't have like big stores like that. So you definitely want to be prepared when you come here. You don't want to
right.
forget anything because
That's
we run into
They do have
that.
a McDonald's there. They do have a
Yes.
McDonald's there. That's where I
Yes,
had
we do.
my breakfast the morning of my wedding. Um, I'm so classy. Um,
Some people do their midnight snack from McDonald's for their weddings, which I
yeah,
love.
it's like right next to the supermarket. So,
It is, yeah.
so it's like, if you really don't want to have McDonald's, you could always go to the supermarket. But like,
You could, yeah.
it's
Yeah, but it's great. Sorry,
I
I've
was
been
saying
here for
there.
7 years now. So
Oh,
probably moved up here just after you got married.
mhm.
And yeah, it's just like the weddings here are incredible. Like we do so many weddings a year,
Right.
and like there's so many different options. You can get married on a golf course by a lake. You can take a helicopter up to a glacier and get married in the snow, or you
Yeah.
can get married in the forest on top of the like ski resort. Like, it's crazy.
Now, my question is, so last week, funnily enough, I didn't actually plan this properly because last week I spoke to a makeup artist in Mexico.
Yes.
Like, I didn't even realize that. I'm just like, oh, crap, two makeup artists side by side. But it's actually a little bit in my favor because you guys are both in two completely separate
Yeah.
regions where she's dealing with, humidity and heat and everything like that. I mean, I'm high season in Whistler is the winter, actually.
Yeah.
So, like, my question to you is that how is that different dealing with the cold then? Like, now you're
Yeah.
talking about, like, frigid cold.
It is.
Exact
It's
opposite.
quite.
Oh,
It is. So I listened to the one with Natasha, and
yeah,
she came up with so many great points because it
yeah,
is like humidity compared to where we are, where
yeah,
you're so cold and your skin is so dry,
yeah,
and if it is a little damp, so many people get their photos in the snow.
right,
Their hair is going to be pretty much ruined if you aren't careful and you aren't like preparing properly
right,
and things like that. So, we definitely have to cater towards like the different weather types here,
right.
thinking about adding on like a touch up after your photos when you've been in the snow all day. Like, there's
Right.
almost nothing you can do to hold curls in when you're drenched.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, again, exactly, right? Because I'm thinking on one side for Mexico, it's like the humidity and the sweat. That's one way to get drenched.
Exactly.
At least for me. Um, let's not talk about how I look in Mexico when I'm Lord. There's a reason. Let's just say there's a reason why I chose the mountains and not the beach.
Yeah.
But I'm sure on the other side, you know, being wet from like snow and rain
Yeah.
is completely different. So like, what was your most challenge? Like, can you remember what was the most challenging wedding that you've done
I would
with
have to
respect to weather?
say, yeah, I would have to say it was like a crazy snowstorm, and they were adamant about having their photos taken outside, which is, you know, it's great. Like, we are so lucky we get those really natural brides here who would rather have those perfect snow photos as opposed to like worrying the most about their hair and makeup.
Right.
So they were understandable, but her hair was completely drenched. And a lot of times the snow will land on the hairspray and it won't like melt. It just
Yeah.
stays as
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
So there
Which
has
is
been
not the
multiple
case.
times, no, where I've had to run to the venue right before the ceremony and, you know, take a blow dryer to their up style and just try and perfect it. And the very first time, I didn't quite realize how bad it would be with the snow sitting in the hairstyle. So now I know. And I always do recommend, you know, make sure you schedule that time for me to come back and fix your hair and makeup.
Right.
Even if it's not completely necessary, you can, you know, it's always going to help you,
Right.
especially if you're doing photos before the ceremony,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
so
I
your
mean, just
guests
in
haven't seen you yet.
yeah, and just in general, I always tell people that when they do photos before the ceremony, that like even here, I'm like, you want to go into a forest,
Yeah.
you could drive 40 minutes outside of Toronto, and all of a sudden you're like in meadows, right? Like
Yeah.
it's all green. And I tell them, I'm like, okay, fine. You want to go into, and you want to be like super rustic. You want to go all the way into like the trees, like that's
Yeah.
okay. But you know, you have a big ball gown on, so
Yeah.
you know everything's gonna get stuck in
Yes.
there.
You're going to have twigs in your dress. It's going to get dirty.
We shook out a dress, and there were like bugs, and
Oh,
there were like bugs coming out, and like she didn't notice because it was a huge ball gown. So I'm just
yeah.
shaking it out, and I did this. I was like, ah, and she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing's wrong. It's
And then,
just let's just move on. I didn't just see like 5 bugs crawl.
oh my gosh.
It's
Yeah.
professional.
Well, and especially up here too, like because it is such an outdoor wedding destination. So whether it's summertime or winter, you know, you're going to want to trek into the forest to get those snow cap
Yeah,
mountains or, you know, go up on a glacier.
right,
And it could be the summertime and you don't realize there's still like 6 feet of snow up there. So, you know,
right.
your dress is going to get wet, your feet are going to get soaked,
Yeah,
and then you plan to go, you know, have your ceremony down in like a hall or something or somewhere where your guests are, and you still want to look perfect, you know, like
right.
they don't know you just took your photos.
The photographers can't do that much. Like
No,
in
so it
post
is,
production.
especially in the winter.
God bless them.
I know they try their best, but
Yeah,
there's only so much.
there's no,
So I just
can't
make sure that
can't
they know
copy
I
and
can come
paste
back.
like a hit, like an updo
Yeah,
onto somebody's head. Like
yeah,
you can't just
that would be a good app
right. let's
or a
let's
good
give you a
preset.
wedding updo. Like
Yeah,
like and well, okay, so well even for my wedding, we tried to go up, and they almost
mm,
didn't want to sell us a ticket for the gondola because they kept on saying like you're gonna ruin your dress, you're gonna ruin your whatever, and we were like okay with it. We're
yeah,
like we're already married. Like we did the photos in between the ceremony and reception. Like I don't really care. My dress was $300. I like honestly, I really didn't really give a crap. But then
yeah.
they were even really worried about like letting us go off. So we did end up buying the ticket, but we just promised them we wouldn't get off. We just like we
Oh,
got picked inside the gondola, and
yeah,
that was it.
which
So
is gorgeous.
right, and that's how I met you because
Yeah,
we came back 5 years later because we never got those mountain shots. Also
yeah,
because for everybody watching this and you've never been to Whistler before, it is a mountain. It's not a hill.
yeah. You can
So it's,
see.
yeah, it's I've gotten many of like people are just like, why go to Whistler? Why can't you just get married at Blue Mountain, which is a ski lodge here?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Guys, and I'm just like, I don't think you fully understand a mountain versus like
A
just a
hill.
ski hill. Like I
Yeah,
don't. So on my wedding day, we just didn't have the logistics
yeah.
to
Figure it
be
out.
able to go all the way up, take those photos, and come down and get that shot. So that's how we met because
Hmm.
I hired you to do my makeup for our 5-year anniversary shot.
Yeah.
Finally got the iconic but it's
The
super hard,
mountain photos.
imagine, to do that on the wedding day, like to be
Yeah.
able to plan that kind of time to get that, like,
Yeah, well, and everything's changed so much now. Like,
right,
we have all of our weddings who want to have those photos on the mountain. So it's super common to take the gondola up to the
right,
mountain. And there's all those venues up on top of the mountain now where you can actually have your ceremony.
right, which
So
is gorgeous.
that's really popular. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So in the summertime and the winter time. But this winter we had, well, which is normal for Toronto, but like some negative 30-degree days and people are getting married outside and you're
I
just like,
mean,
you
I,
got to be covered.
our winters are weird though now. Like now it's
Are
just like
they?
February that's really like frigid. Like
Yeah.
go outside for longer than X amount of time. We're both, you and I, still are in better situations than Winnipeg, because Winnipeg is
Yes.
like crazy. Like I can't even wrap my head around how cold it is over there.
No.
But I did but like, yeah, it does get cold. And I
Yeah.
remember when I decided to do a spring wedding and not a winter wedding, I think everybody gave a sigh of relief, because they were just like, I was just like, I kind of want to do a winter wedding, and like everybody pretty much lost their minds. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
because it's fine for the bride and the groom.
right,
Your adrenaline's going. So you don't realize how cold you are, but the guests are standing out there and they're out there longer than you are too.
right.
So they're basically frozen by the time you come down the aisle. And so you kind of have to consider like both groups of people. Like it is for you,
Right.
but you also invited all your friends and family. So you got to make sure that they
Quick
don't
ceremony,
get frostbite.
ceremony. Let's get this. Can't see you through all the icicles on my
On your lashes. Yeah.
crazy.
But like the winter wedding fashion and everything is gorgeous. I'm so excited to be a part of those weddings.
I'm like, and I'm a little jealous too, because I don't feel like all of that came out when I got married.
Mm-hmm.
2012, it was actually, there wasn't a lot of, I don't want to say there wasn't a lot of selection. I'm sure there was, but like maybe I couldn't find it when I was researching.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's more of a wedding community now in Whistler than
Yeah.
there was 8 years ago. And I don't know if you realize that, like, is that something that you noticed as well?
Definitely. Like when I first came here, I knew there was going to be lots of weddings, but it wasn't like with all the elopements we do now too, I basically can have a wedding every single day of the week.
Wow.
So it's not Saturdays, Fridays weddings anymore. It's every day.
Wow.
And people are just realizing how gorgeous it is and how many options there are here for different weddings. Like you can have your big, massive, fancy wedding in Whistler, but then you can also have just like the most rustic, gorgeous elopements.
Totally. Especially
And so,
lake too. Like you guys
yeah,
have beautiful lakes. Like we did
yes,
some photos near the lakes as well, and
yeah,
it's just beautiful. Like it's just lovely than being up
hmm
in. But of course, you go there for the mountains, right? Like understand.
yeah.
Like
But
yeah,
an added bonus that we have, like these amazing, like behind me, you can't see it right now, is Green Lake, which is the lake that you got married on. And it's like a
yeah,
turquoise lake surrounded by snow-capped mountains. So you can't really go wrong. You have a photographer for 3 hours and you can get mountaintop photos, lake photos, and like rustic
yeah.
in the forest photos.
If you have, yeah, if you have
Yes.
time.
Yes, exactly. That's why the
It is
elopements
big.
are really great.
Yeah, elopements are fantastic because your ceremony is like 10 minutes and then you're
Yes,
just like, like I've done an elopement
exactly.
before. I did one in Malibu in California, and
Oh, nice.
it was so weird because it was almost like a glorified style shoot with a ceremony, right? Like the ceremony was
Yeah.
like 10 minutes and then the time was just photos. Like
Yeah,
like
which is so fun.
it's so much fun. Like I'm not saying this in a negative way, but we made little
No, yeah.
vignettes, right? Like with flowers and things like that. And more, the whole day was basically just photos, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was even more special because you have the time to do everything. So like,
Yeah.
and it's funny because they were walking the aisle and they walked together down the aisle, which I thought was really sweet. And
Yeah.
at one point the groom said, he's like, it's okay, guys, we messed this up. Just do it again. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. Right? And then he
Don't
told
worry.
the photographer, like, yeah, he told the photographer, he's like, if you didn't get that, like, we'll just do it again. Like, it's like no big deal. You know? And then
Not
and I was like,
not real life.
yeah, yeah, it is not. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, that's so true though, because you
Yeah.
feel like there's so many people around, you have one shot to do
Yeah.
everything. But when it's just the two of you and you're not answering to anybody, like you're
Yeah.
not, it's like,
And
did you
there's
get
so
the shot?
much pressure taken off of you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for
So much
photographers
pressure.
too. You have one chance to take all of those photos down the
Yeah.
aisle and then it's over.
Yeah. Over all the guests and like all the guests trying to take photos and
Yeah.
everything, right?
Oh my gosh. It's so different now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
And as
think
a photographer,
elopements,
yeah.
yeah. But, going forward, with this situation with COVID-19 and everything, like elopements, I think will be, or small weddings in general, will be quite the future. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
probably noticing that with planning weddings and destination weddings and
Totally. Totally. And that's kind of another reason why I wanted to do this is because that I wanted to give people the option because of COVID
yeah.
that, if you did want to do an elopement with just the two of you, similar to what I just said, like you have freedom. You could go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
Mm-hmm.
pending travel bans are
Yes.
lifted and all of that stuff and whatever, right? But like beyond that, like, and City Hall being open so you can get your marriage license. Those are really the only two things that I said it was like super important. But like beyond that, like
Yeah.
that we're okay with just getting married, the two of you. And if you are and you have no restrictions to travel, like why not go to wherever is behind you to get married? Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Whistler,
Exactly.
Montana.
Especially coming from Canada.
Yeah.
That one is Blackcomb, but then
Okay.
Whistler is just right over here.
Yes. I just wanted to let people
That way.
know two mountains.
Yes.
So that's why
I know.
Whistler Blackcomb Mountain. But
Two
like
mountains.
yeah.
No. And they are connected with a gondola now, which some people get married in that gondola.
Really?
Yes. If you have a wedding party of only 12 people, or like 10, including like, photographer and officiant, then people have the ceremony in the gondola.
Oh my gosh.
There's so many options. It's so cool.
I know. You must be having a field day. I've always considered
Yeah.
like moving from a huge metropolis like this to doing weddings, like planning weddings in smaller places because I feel like that's very much to my personality. Not necessarily like my brand, but it's more so like what I like to do. But it's really difficult here, right? Because it's so much competition here. And I'm sure that
Yes.
Vancouver Center is kind of the same thing, right? So
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing. So in like the Sea to Sky area, it's, a really tight knit community, which is probably the part that I love the most about being out in Whistler is my colleagues who have their own business. We often work together when we can, and we are always like helping each other out with ideas and if anyone needs an assistant or anything like that. So in Vancouver, it's not quite like that. People are, you're in my company and that's it kind of thing. And here, everyone is just, we all work together. We all recommend each other if we're booked, and we all just like appreciate each other as being artists as well and in the same industry.
Right.
So I think that's super rare.
I think honestly, because that's very similar to here, I think that it's big city versus small town mentality. Like I think, because even here we have Muskoka, which is cottage country.
Yes.
We have wine country. So we have like the Ontario, like near Niagara Falls, Niagara on the lake kind of thing. And they're all their little pockets of wedding industry, right? I'm sure, well, just like Vancouver, people from Toronto, we go to Muskoka too. We go to Niagara on the lake, but like the local community is very much like that. It's very like community. And I do feel like I think that's the mentality, right? And I doubt that if I worked in Vancouver, like the Vancouver city, it would be pretty much kind of like here anyway.
It would be
like,
the same, yeah.
Pretty much the same, except instead of Muskoka, you get the mountains.
You get mountains, but then you have to deal with all the rain all the time, and so it's quite different. But
getting cold, they're just like, I mean, it's lovely to work in Vancouver, but we have rain 80% of the time or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm I mean, we don't. So
you guys have seasons.
We actually have seasons. I mean, the months of the seasons are changing now, but like we do have seasons here. You've been to Toronto?
I have.
Ontario?
I love Toronto. I love big
Yeah.
cities, actually. I would love
Oh
to
yeah.
live in Toronto. Like, it's
Okay.
beautiful. I'm getting used to the slow pace of life, but
You're
I'm
a
a
city
city
girl.
girl. Yeah.
I'm a suburban girl. I lived in Toronto for a little
Are
bit
you?
and
Yeah.
realized I'm not a country girl necessarily, so I still don't know whether or not I would be able to do what you're doing because it's like
Yeah.
I to like have that a little bit of a bigger community, but I'm not a city girl. That's what I realized when I lived downtown. And I'm like, I still like to park where I don't have to pay for
Yeah.
parking. Yeah, like it's still
Definitely.
like my Costco's. Like my Costco is not around here, and this is a little
Yeah.
bit, So
We are lucky. Vancouver's only 2 hours away. So, the resources are there, but it is definitely like once you're in Whistler, you do realize that you are in the Whistler bubble and you could just kind of forget where you are. You don't realize you are so close to another big city because it
yeah,
just seems like a completely different world out here,
totally.
like
Well,
in a
I mean,
great way.
people that most of the people that came to my wedding and people thereafter, um, born and raised in Canada in Ontario, but have never been to the West Coast, right? Like because
Oh, really?
by the way, anybody watching is gigantic, and
Yeah,
people don't realize that a flight to Vancouver costs the same sometimes as a flight to the UK from here.
absolutely.
It's so expensive because our country is like vastly huge.
Yeah.
Um, and they say like when you land, it's just like a different world. Like you don't even know that you're in the same country until
No.
you see the TD Bank and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, especially because when you land, like our airport's on the water. So
Yeah.
you think you're going to land in the ocean and then you realize there's
Like
the
that.
runway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I really hope
Yeah.
that he knows what he's doing. Yeah.
I
Like
know. And especially the drive from Vancouver up to Whistler is
gorgeous.
just astonishing.
Stunning.
Like anyone watching, if you guys haven't made it out here, like what are you waiting for?
Totally. And
Well,
it's such an easy
until
drive.
the borders open.
Literally you go through Stanley Park, you hit the 99 and like you just go.
Yeah.
And then people have asked me directions to get to Whistler and I'm just like you
Yeah.
just go. So you
Like it's
the
on
exit.
the side of the highway.
It says
You see it.
Whistler exit. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it. And you're gonna
Yeah,
like
exactly.
pass Squamish and you'll pass a couple other cities and stuff and that's it. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's really easy. I'm like very, very simple, but
Yes.
take
And
your
once
time.
you're here,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't need a car once you're here. Like that's why it's amazing for weddings too. Like your guests
Yeah.
just come in, they take a bus or a town car, and then everything's walkable.
Yeah.
Like the mountains right there, the villages there, the lakes are there, everything's right there.
Totally.
So it's
100.
so accessible.
Oh,
Yeah,
love it. I could
I
talk
know.
about it. We don't have,
I know.
so my last
We
question.
don't have all day, but yeah,
We don't have, you can sit there all day though, which is
I will be here all day.
like I like the part I'm jealous about is that you're gonna get off this live. You're gonna be like, I'm gonna hang out here for like 3 more hours.
I know. I'll probably go
Whereas,
for a bike ride to a lake and
right? Picnic. God,
yes,
what a life.
I know.
Um,
It's
my last
privileged.
question to you is that if anybody is planning a wedding for Whistler, what do you think is the number one thing that they should consider? Not necessarily for hair and makeup, but I mean, could also be part of it as well. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think would be your tips?
Well, I would definitely say, like, because it is also a small town, like, don't expect to have the same amenities as the big city. Be 100% prepared. Like, know the weather changes in 20 minutes. So if you, like, right now it's gorgeous, but honestly, the wind could pick up and the clouds could roll in and we could be in rain within an hour.
Right.
And don't forget anything. Like, if the grooms forget ties or anything, like, Whistler doesn't have things for that. We don't have
Yeah,
dress
go down.
shoes, really. We don't have tie shops. We don't have big shops at all. So you got to be prepared. So if weather is a big thing for you, like if you absolutely need snow, consider that you might not get the snow that you want, you know? I feel like people are most disappointed by having this envision of this snowy wedding destination and they come in mid-December and that's, it's still pretty warm for us and they get rain.
Right.
So
yeah,
just
that's true.
be
I mean,
open
like,
to everything.
Because it's May. This view is because it's May. It's not because
Yes.
necessarily like, and it won't be very. I mean, like that's actually really good advice because we got our suits for our wedding from Moores in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Because no way. We knew that there was no way that we were going to get anything like that in
No,
Whistler. And
no.
one of our guests, actually, the day before the wedding, actually, this day, 8 years ago, um, he left his, because they stayed in Vancouver for a few days before, like a lot of them stayed in Vancouver a few days and then they drove up. He left his dress shirt for the wedding in his Vancouver hotel.
Oh,
And he's like, and I remember this so clearly because they came to the spa to spend time with us. And then he's just like, crap, I don't have my dress shirt for your wedding tomorrow.
yeah,
And he's like, where can we go around here to get it? I'm like,
exactly.
They drove back
Yeah.
down to get it. And then they came back up again. Like, what
Uh,
are you going to do? Like, you.
I know. I had a bride forget her veil
Oh,
in
no.
Vancouver.
And then
So, but
yeah.
she sent someone to go back to Vancouver and get it. Like, you know, it is like, if you're going fast enough, like a 3.5, 4 hour round trip, but
Yeah.
you have to be prepared. Even dress socks are hard to find.
Really?
So, yes. Like we
That's
have
why it's
like
good
the
to know
Gap.
people.
Yes.
It's good to know
So
people.
it
Like, I
is
would come to you and be like, can I borrow a pair
exactly.
of clean dress socks? And I'll just like give it back to you and we'll wash it. Like,
I
that's
know.
probably
I did
easier
that for a
than
bride. Yeah. I just messaged friends that I knew asking if someone had a spare veil, but luckily she had a friend like still close to Vancouver. But yeah, you just have to be prepared when you're out here and expect for like just crazy weather and be okay with that.
that's nuts. Anyway, I
Yes.
and
I
I
know.
keep
I could keep going,
and
but
I'm kind of like extending this conversation because I just keep staring right behind you and I'm not really looking at you. I'm looking behind you.
I think I'm in
So
like a
like,
shadow and it's like focused
I'm
on
just like,
the mountain.
can
So
you just move a little bit to the left
I'll
so I
just
can just see it? Yeah, I'll just stay. Yeah, I'll just hang out over here. No,
I'll
no.
leave my
No,
camera on for the next 10 hours and you can just
which is a really long. What is the cap of the time for Instagram lives? Is my question.
I have no idea. This is my first time doing this. This is fun.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, like, this is totally self-serving. Like, I'm doing Instagram live so I can talk to people. That's not
Yeah.
my husband. Uh, and see places
He's
which
yeah.
I could. So it's a little bittersweet because I'm just like,
It
nah,
is.
that's nice right now.
But it's a great way to connect with people during this time.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I hadn't used Zoom before or anything. So I think like COVID, this whole pandemic is really like teaching people how easy it is to stay connected and the importance of staying connected.
Totally. And like,
Yeah.
the reason why we did the destinations one is that we can actually see where other people are from. Like, we're not just in a little bubble. Because I mean, I love Toronto. I'm born and raised here, but it's a little boring after a while.
Once you've been there for so long.
Yeah, once you've been
Yeah.
there for so long, and like, you know, to be able to connect to Spain and Mexico and Whistler, British Columbia within the span of 3 weeks is like
Yeah.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, might as well time to be able to see people you don't normally
Yeah.
talk to. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's great.
And so many photographers up here and videographers are offering like live streaming for, you know, because we do have a lot of weddings this summer who have now had to cut their guest list dramatically.
Right.
And so it's just, you know, the internet, the internet, I'm so technologically unsavvy. The web, there's so many possibilities, you know, to keep connected when you can't be there in person. So I think this is the future and it's kind of great.
Well, I mean, that's amazing. Thank you so
Yes.
much for joining me today.
Thank you,
Much,
Kimberly.
I can't wait to work with you again. Can't wait
I
to
know.
design a Whistler wedding. I know I'm biased because I was married there, but honestly, I'm
But
so
then
glad.
you know, truly.
I know. And I'm so glad that you decided to live where you are because at least people will know why I decided to get married there, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just so stunning. And I very much appreciate you and you're so
Yes.
talented. And if anybody is
Oh,
looking
thank
for,
you.
if you're out in Vancouver even and you need a makeup
Yes.
artist, she'll come down. Sure she
Yeah,
will.
I travel all around. Basically, I travel anywhere. So, but come to Whistler, come to Vancouver, and yeah,
You know.
contact me.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank
Kerry.
you, Kimberly.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.